The role of wisdom. Prajna in Enlightenment. Introduction. In the Buddhist tradition, wisdom, known in Sanskrit as Prajna and in Pali as Panbi, is considered the crown jewel of spiritual cultivation, while morality, Ala, and meditation, Samadhi, serve as the foundation and vehicle of the path. Wisdom is the guiding light that leads one to the ultimate realization of enlightenment. Without wisdom, ethical conduct may become rigid moralism, and meditation may become mere concentration without liberative insight. Conversely, wisdom without the grounding of ethics and meditative stability risks becoming abstract speculation. Thus, wisdom in Buddhism is not intellectual knowledge alone, but a transformative insight that penetrates the true nature of reality. This essay explores the role of Prajna in the Buddhist path of enlightenment, examining its meaning, development, and application in both early and Mahayana traditions. Defining Prajna more than intellectual knowledge. The term Prajna combines pra, before, supreme or higher, and j, to know, meaning superior knowledge or transcendent wisdom. It refers not to the accumulation of information, but to the direct experiential insight into the nature of reality. In Buddhist philosophy, reality is characterized by impermanence, anicca, non-self, Atman, and suffering, dukkha, to see. These truths directly, without distortion, is to develop wisdom. The Buddha often contrasted mere conceptual understanding with direct seeing. The former may be likened to knowing the definition of fire, while the latter is akin to being burned by flames and immediate, transformative encounter. Prajna is thus a wisdom that liberates, because it dismantles ignorance of adib, the root cause of suffering and cyclic existence. Samsara, the role of wisdom in the threefold. Training. The Buddhist path is often summarized as a threefold: training, ethics, koa, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, prajna. Each supports the other, forming an integrated process of spiritual transformation. Ethics is foundation. Ethical conduct restrains harmful actions, cultivates compassion, and generates inner harmony, which are necessary for meditation and wisdom. Meditation as vehicle. Through meditative absorption, the mind becomes calm, focused, and pliant, enabling practitioners to observe reality without distraction or distortion. Wisdom as goal. With clarity of mind and moral discipline, one can penetrate the three marks of existence and realize the emptiness of all phenomena. Wisdom transforms knowledge into liberation. In this triadic structure, wisdom is the culmination, but it is inseparable from ethics and meditation. Without wisdom, there is no final release. Without ethics and meditation, wisdom cannot mature. Early Buddhism panned as insight into the Four Noble Truths. In the Pali Canon, wisdom is frequently described as the direct knowledge of the Four Noble Truths: the truth of suffering, dukkha; the truth of the origin of suffering, craving, taha; the truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha; the truth of the path, marga. The Buddha emphasized that seeing these truths clearly is equivalent to liberation itself. For example, in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, the Buddha declares that only after fully understanding, realizing, and cultivating these truths did he declare enlightenment. Thus, wisdom in early Buddhism is pragmatic, not speculative. It is the insight that ends suffering. Mahayana Buddhism, prajna as emptiness. Nyat in Mahayana Buddhism, wisdom reaches its highest articulation in the realization of emptiness. Nyat. Nagarjuna, the great philosopher of the Madhyamaka school, argued that all phenomena lack inherent existence. They arise dependently, prat-tya samutta, and therefore cannot be grasped as permanent, independent entities. Here, Prajna does not simply recognize impermanence and suffering, but penetrates the profound interdependence and non-substantiality of all things. This realization dismantles both eternalism, the belief in unchanging essence, and nihilism, the denial of meaningful existence, pointing instead to the middle way. In the Prajna literature, the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras, Prajna is exalted as the very mother of all Buddhas, because it gives birth to enlightenment. Without Prajna, even the path of the Bodhisattva cannot reach fruition. Prajna and compassion, two wings of enlightenment, hallmark of Mabhina. Thought is the inseparability of wisdom and compassion. Wisdom sees the emptiness of self and others. Compassion arises from recognizing the suffering of beings caught in delusion. Together, they form the two wings of a bird that allow the Bodhisattva to soar toward Buddhahood. If wisdom is cultivated without compassion, it risks becoming cold detachment. If compassion is practiced without wisdom, it may degenerate into sentimental attachment. But when united, compassion motivates altruistic action, and wisdom ensures it is free from ego-clinging. This dynamic relationship between Prajna and Karu, compassion, is a defining feature of the Bodhisattva ideal. It ensures that enlightenment is not a private escape from suffering, but a universal liberation. Methods for cultivating wisdom. 1. Listening and study. Rutamic. Prajna. Wisdom begins with hearing the teachings, studying scriptures, and engaging in intellectual reflection. This establishes a conceptual framework for practice. 2. Reflection. Sintmake. Project through contemplation. Practitioners critically analyze and internalize the teachings, transforming them from abstract concepts into personal understanding. 3. Meditation. Bhavan make Prajna. Finally, wisdom deepens through direct meditative experience. By observing the mind and phenomena in stillness, practitioners realize impermanence, non-self, and emptiness firsthand. This threefold process ensures that wisdom is both intellectual and experiential, ultimately culminating in liberative insight. The transformative power of Prajna development of wisdom has profound psychological and existential consequences. It dissolves ignorance, eliminates false views that sustain suffering, liberates from fear. Realization of emptiness reveals that there is no solid self to defend, diminishing anxiety and attachment, cultivates equanimity. Insight into interdependence generates balance in the face of gain and loss, praise and blame, generates compassion. Understanding the shared emptiness of all beings fosters deep empathy. Thus, wisdom is not only a cognitive realization, but a radical transformation of how one perceives and lives in the world. Conclusion. Wisdom, Prajna in Buddhism, is far more than intellectual brilliance. It is the luminous clarity that sees reality as it is, free from distortion. In early Buddhism, wisdom manifests as insight into the Four Noble Truths and dependent origination. In Mahayana, it flowers as the profound realization of emptiness, inseparably united with compassion. Through study, reflection, and meditation, practitioners cultivate wisdom as the culminating virtue that liberates them from ignorance and suffering. Ultimately, wisdom is both the path and the fruit. It guides the practitioner to enlightenment, and enlightenment itself is the perfection of wisdom. Without Prajna, there is no liberation. With it, the flames of delusion are extinguished, and the heart awakens to freedom and boundless compassion.